Welcome to the Gyms Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Kleber, and this podcast is designed to share stories of our franchisees, franchisors, Jim himself, and other members of the Gyms family that we think you might find interesting. If you are researching our brand, we've got a previous back catalogue. There's so many great episodes that you can find online. And if you do like what you hear, please make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching, or online as well. We really do appreciate the support. Without further ado, here's today's episode. So Andrew Skinner, thank you very much for joining us today. You're actually our first representative from Gyms Building Inspections for our core voucher scheme, and you nominated yourself for having nearly 200 5-star reviews on the system. You've been with us more than 10 years as well, so you're obviously a star franchisee. And first of all, let's just start with what were you doing prior to Gyms Building Inspections?
Prior to Gyms Building Inspections, I had 20 years in the building industry, so I was a carpenter by trade. Loved what I did. So I moved there from, on the tools and then progressed through to supervision of high-end residential and commercial buildings, pump stations, health sector and all that sort of thing. And then got into a bit of civil I just wanted a new challenge. So some friends of mine were in gym skip bins and they said that building inspections was on the way. So I got a bit of got the wind of that. So I put my feelers out, and when they were ready to expand, picked it up in Adelaide here. So it's been a really good experience. So pretty much construction all my life.
And that would have been right at the start of Gyms Building Inspections. I think you would have been one of the first people in the division.
That was, I was one of the first interstate. Yeah, that's right.
And how's it been building since then? So you've been right with us from the start. So have you been surprised by how big it's gotten, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, it's definitely a snowball. It's a great industry, and it's obviously a growing industry. More people learn about building inspections, and there's still a lot of people out there that don't know that we exist for the Gyms group. So there's still a lot of work to do, but we've kicked a lot of goals over the years, and we've got some good national contracts and that sort of thing. So certainly paid to come on board with a bigger player rather than trying to set up on my own. That's for sure.
And you're a franchisor as well, so maybe do you want to explain for people what a franchisor is and what is your role?
Okay, yeah. So I actually bought the region of South Australia. So I'm a working franchisor. So I'm a franchisee just like all the other guys and girls. But I also sell franchises and support all the franchisees in the South Australian area. So, basically my role is to obviously run the marketing funds that all us guys and girls chip into. We run the marketing funds. We support everyone. Phone calls on the daily from all the guys and girls. Just whether it's technical queries or just saying g'day or catching up, down having a Coke or a coffee or a beer or whatever it might be. Yeah, it's just basically supporting whatever way, shape or fashion that the franchisee needs. So, it's been a good role. And
how many franchisees do you currently have in your region?
There's currently 7 of us, including me, in South Australia at the moment, and we're on a real recruitment drive to get another 4, hopefully this side of Christmas.
Now, what type of person suits building inspections? Obviously, it's not something where you can just come off the street and, like with mowing or something, right? So, Jeremy, do you want to talk about what type of person is really suited to become a franchisee in your region?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So we really look for someone who's got a deep building background, construction background, or that may be on a more learning side, as in college, university, and that sort of thing. So you could come from a project management, architectural, engineering background, or a trade background. We've got electricians, we've got plumbers, licensed builders, that sort of thing. Cert 4 in building construction is a good way to go, and then obviously 5 years of on the cold face experience in the construction industry. That's pretty much what we look for. So they're your prerequisites, and mind you, we provide a very high-end training to all of our people. So if you come from a different field that's not totally building or construction, we can certainly turn you into. We've got a lot of different sort of avenues and a lot of different inspections and reports that we do. So a lot of people tend to specialize, maybe specialize in asbestos or construction, new constructions, pre-purchase building inspections. We do the whole gambit. So but someone with a good knowledge of the building industry is a good background.
And why is it an attractive option for someone from the building industry to leave that behind to come into something like Gyms Building Inspections? What's the benefits that you found coming from working in that game for so long to what you've been doing for the last 10 years?
Look, myself and a lot of the franchisees that we find that they a lot of them want to get off the tools. They want the next big challenge, but they don't really want to be working really, their backs. They've worked their backs really hard all their lives or whatever it might be, worked their fingers to the bone as it was. And and sometimes it's a lifestyle change as well. I've got guys that like playing golf and go fishing 1 or 2 days a week, and they like to do the hard yards on the inspections, 3 to 4 days a week, and it gives them a real lifestyle. So a lot of people want to get off the tools, a lot of people want a new challenge, a lot of people want a lifestyle, see their families more and that sort of thing. We got a lot of young guys come on board. A couple of my newest guys are 30-year-old. They've been in the industry, building industry 10 years. And yeah, they just love the flexibility. They both play a lot of golf, and they love the flexibility being with their young families and that sort of thing. So that's the big one. That's a big draw card.
And also, I think with the building industry as it is, like I know what it's like in South Australia, but in Victoria, Melbourne at the moment, there seems to be a big name builder every week going bust. So it's not an easy game to be in.
Well, yeah, we get paid up front before we do the job. So that's another big thing. You know, in 10 years, I've not missed out on getting my money for any job that I've ever done. Whereas, yes, in the construction industry back in the day, yeah, sometimes had to fight tooth and nail just to get paid, which is really sad. But unfortunately, that's the way it goes. And, you know, so yeah, it is the security of the finances and so on is very solid. Yeah.
And I think you also have the ability for customers can also buy reports online as well. So it's not just in person, but they can buy online. And if you've done it at the address, they can purchase it and you make some money that way.
Yeah, we're one of the only inspection groups in Australia that have an e-commerce site. So yeah, certainly if, you know, comes auction day and you see a property on Friday and you want to bid on Saturday, you want that security that the place is not going to fall over. It's not full of termites and all the rest of it. Yeah, if we've done an inspection on that job, it's there up on the portal. You can get on our e-commerce site and you can have it downloaded onto your mobile device within about 15 clicks, basically, probably 5 minutes. So yeah, it's really simple. Good system.
And typically in a week, what does it look like for you in terms of what you do? How many jobs you're roughly doing a week, or what sort of activities you're doing?
Well, I probably a little bit less because I, you know, provide a lot of support to my franchisee. But myself and most of my guys would be doing between 7 and 12 jobs a week. That looks like about 25 hours of on the tools and in the office and the admin and so on. So that gives you another 10 to 15 hours to be able to do your local area marketing, or spend the time with the family, go to the kids' sports day or whatever you want to do, depending on how hard you want to drive the business. So yeah, that's basically what a week looks like. We do have guys that just punch out their 3 jobs a day, 15 jobs a week. And then there's other guys that just really happy with their 7 to 10 jobs a week. So yeah, it just depends exactly where you're at in life.
Income level, it's a good service to offer, isn't it? We don't have to say exactly how much reports cost, but I think if people have used a building inspector before or pest inspection, they would have a rough idea of what the guys are making.
Yeah, look, it's certainly financially viable. Put it that way. Yeah, I'd probably you know, you could easily earn double what you're earning in the building industry. You know, as a general rule of thumb, you know, obviously it goes up and down all over the place, but yeah, no, it's because we do have an excellent system, excellent processes, excellent reporting system. You know, you pay a bit of a premium to get that sort of service, and obviously the gym service that we provide as well. You pay a bit of a premium, and our knowledge. You know, 150 inspectors, over 150 nationwide. You're getting a lot of years of knowledge out of that. You know, inspection and report. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about your customer service standards. So you've got 175 star reviews. We'll round it up and say 200. But you've got how did you get so many reviews in a what can be very tough sometimes with dealing with clients with houses and stuff? So how have you been able to have a perfect star rating over the years?
Well, it just basically it all started on day one when I did the training with Jim, and he trains you. He calls it the gym's ethos, and it's basically that just everything revolves around that customer experience and giving the customer that great experience, so they can basically be a mobile gym's billboard. You know, everywhere they go, they speak the gym's name, and so often I get customers that say, "Oh, we use Jim's cleaning, or we use Jim's for this," and they were fantastic. So that's why we're coming to you. So, and basically, I just train my guys and myself. I provide the same service, just to basically treat everyone like it's your mum, and really just service the hell out of them. Really give them a good experience, so they want to come back and use all of our different sort of divisions and all the rest of it. So. Yeah, it's just customer. We're always available on the phone. People say, "Oh, you know, can I get you to do this, or can I have a chat to you for this? Happy to pay you more." It's never about that. It's all about no, this is what I quoted you for the job. Now you've got me, my brains, anything that I know, I can help you with through that buying or building process. So, and I do have 30 years in the industry. So, you know, and my guys as well. If we don't know something, we'll ring each other up and say, "Oh, can you help here? Do you know this? You know, who do we know in this business?" So, and then we also offer, I've been building a long time. We've got a lot of plumbers, electricians, you know, a lot of gyms people that we know. And after we do a building inspection for someone, they tend to trust us implicitly. So they'll say, "Oh, look, would you know a builder, or would you know a roofer, or would you know a gutter cleaner?" And we've got a referral list, which we hand out to the customers. And we just try and help them, you know, the whole way through the experience, and then on into owning their own home and maintaining their home. So, yeah.
That's great to hear. Now, from obviously property, really hot topic in Australia. Everyone loves to talk about property. So from your experience, Andrew, what's some common pitfalls or mistakes people come across, or you come across in when they looking to purchase a home?
Well, a lot of people certainly going with their rose-coloured glasses on. They see everything. They fall in love with a home when they're in the car out the front before they walk into it. So I think the big take-home point for buying a pre-purchase, a second-hand home is don't fall in love with it until you go through the due processes, checks and measures, go through the home. You know, it might look really pretty from the front, but it might have been a dodgy owner-builder renovation at the back, and you've already fallen in love with it. So certainly go right through the property, see it for what it is, ask any questions, because the real estate agents often know a bit about the property, but they're probably not going to provide that information unless they're asked. Has there ever been termites on the property? Has there been a termite treatment on the property? Are there any caveats or anything on the property? You know, before you all of a sudden get a Form 1 and then you realise there's caveats on the property or whatever else. So, and just having good people in your corner, have a good conveyancer, have a good building inspector. And if you don't have one, speak to your building inspector, because they know a lot of conveyancers, and vice versa. Just having people that are experienced in your corner is the best thing you can do, because you can save a lot of money and a lot of heartache by just having a good building inspection or just having a good conveyancer in your corner. Absolutely.
And because we've done a video of Jimmy, had a friend who bought a off the plan new townhouse in a block of 7, all right, and he trusted the builder and thought, it's a new, what's going to be wrong with it? It's a new build. What's going to be the problem? And then found out the back, and he was stuffed, and I think it was like 80 grand or something to get done, and then the builders went bust, and he was in a bit of trouble. So it's quite common sort of to hear those things. I guess from your perspective, you would come across a lot of this sort of stuff.
New construction all the time. Builders are building that many homes now. They don't know what's going on up the street at that job, this job, and unfortunately, I'm not blaming the builders. A lot of it is supply and demand. They struggle to get supervisors in this day and age. So their supervisors are overworked, and they don't know what's finished, what's not, and they'll just order in the next trade when the waterproofing's not finished, for instance. And also a lot of these tradesmen, it's very expensive to have Australian standards. So a lot of the tradesmen either don't have the time or the money to read the Australian standards or have them on their computer. So that's where we go in, we help, we say, hey, you haven't met this Australian standard, you haven't met this regulation, here it is in black and white, this is what you need to do. And then in that way, we can actually help the builder as well. But there's a lot of heartache and a lot of bad building going on, which that's why we need to be there during the building process.
Yeah. So what's the inspection, and Andrew, people should be getting? They bought a house, they've signed a contract, and they want to do a new build. What's the type of inspection they should be going to you guys for?
We offer customized packages. So basically, if you've got a split level slab, or if it's a really simple slab, then we might say, okay, we can do the slab and the frame at the one time, or you might get a reinforcement, a pre-slab. And then the really, really important ones are the frame inspection. We make sure the slab's, nice and flat. The frames are all to Australian standards. All the bracing's in place. Quite often they miss out bracing, don't install it correctly. And they're big ticket items. So we make sure all that matches the plans and specifications. And then once the brick and roof goes on, we come and check the brick and roofing for compliance with Australian standards. Moving on from there, there's a pre-plaster or a lock-up where we go through and check all the waterproofing before the tiling, which is extremely important that's all done properly. And then the practical completion inspection, where we go in at the end of the job, just before you get your keys. And we basically put the tape on the walls where the paint defects are, make sure, the pavements, the floor finishes, the kitchen cabinets, everything's in brand new condition. The windows, no scratches, aluminium frames, all those sorts of things. Sometimes we get up in a roof and all the insulation is still in bags up in the roof, or it's not even there and the builder doesn't even know. So, I've gone into places before and they're 15 years old and the insulation hasn't been put in. So yeah, it's just, we just tick the boxes. It's just it's comfort for the buyers. It's a small expense, and it's just comfort to know that it's built properly.
So what's the actual? So with I'm pretty done with this sort of stuff. So I'm going to ask you a dumb question, but let's say, for example, you get there, it's halfway through a new build, and they haven't done what they're supposed to do. Is that something where how do you get that resolved? Do you talk to the builder? You withhold stage payments, or how does it all work?
So contractually, the client is not allowed to hold stage payments. As such, if push comes to shove, there are avenues with VCAT, depending on state-based legislations. Over here, we have Consumer and Business Services, which is the old Consumer Affairs. In Victoria, you have VCAT, Queensland, QBCC, or whatever it might be. It's different around the country. However, most contracts do state that you can't withhold the payment. What we do is we document any issues. And then basically, if those issues aren't resolved, then the next stage payment, we might say, okay, well, if the builder's not coming to the party, you might have to go the next step and speak to your governing bodies or whatever it might be in your state, because you are contractually bound to make those payments. Sometimes we have customers that say we're not going to make that payment, and that's between them and the builder, because that's where the contract lies, between the builder and the client. We can't get in the way of that contract because we don't have a contract in there. We have a contract with the client. So we just open their eyes up, show them the best practice, show them what doesn't comply with the standards and plans and specifications. And then it's up to them basically to liaise with the builder in good faith that the builder is going to repair that. And most of the times the builder does. When it doesn't, that's when it goes down the path of legal, lawyers, and all the rest of it. And they all basically say, okay, go and get the building inspection report. And then it becomes more of an expert witness, more of a court case. But and their worst case scenarios, what we do a lot is we facilitate the relationship between the client and the builder, because clients don't know. Builders, talk a lot of builder talk. Client doesn't understand, and there's often a big clash there. So we're like a translator in the middle. We can say, okay, well, give them a bit of good faith, pay them the money. Okay, let's see, and we'll check that they've fixed these things in due time. And then they do, and we keep that relationship a little bit more happy, because when those relationships go sour, it gets messy, and once you go to court, it's it can double the price of your property. It really can.
Yeah, and I think that. And I think most of the guys you deal with would know you're a former builder, or you've got all this experience as well. And then the customer, you can obviously translate, as you said, that lingo for them when the builder might be under pressure to do 4 or 5 jobs or whatever. You've got the time to go through the customer, whereas the builder might not have that sometimes. So you're obviously helping them out as well from their perspective. That
is very true. That's exactly what we do. We get a lot of the silly questions, but we're happy to answer them, because that's part of our service. And the builders, they don't even provide the numbers for the customers to call. The customers call and they speak to a receptionist, and that's as far as they can go with the builder. They're all about answering it's very hard for them, as you said. So we certainly facilitate the builder in that way. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I don't want to sound like we're ragging on builders, because it's a tough game, as you would know from your experience. But they're probably commenting a little bit in the media, I guess, right now with these new house builds, and it just takes one bad job for someone to put it on TikTok or Instagram with a walkthrough. Like, there's a couple of people who do that, and that's all they do, and it really paints a bad light, unfortunately. But it's a very high pressure industry with the profit margins and all the materials going up and stuff like that.
And I must say, I do see good and bad in all builders. It's not just usually not just about the builder. It's a lot deeper than that, and who the supervisor, who the trades were. We see good and bad with high end, low end, everything in between.
Yeah, that's a good point with the high end properties as well. It's not just low end; it's the high end stuff, which I've seen some stuff online, which is quite interesting to say the least. Now, do you want to run through a list of reports? You did mention previously, but do you want to run through a list of all the reports that is possible for a homeowner, or the ones that maybe they might not know about with your division?
Yeah, sure, I can try. There's quite a few there, so I'll probably miss a couple, but you might be able to help me out there.
I'm going to pull up on the booking site, so that's all right. We'll test your knowledge.
We do the bread and butter jobs, the pre-purchase. When you buy a house, we check it out. But during your cooling off period, prior to your settlement, so you can see everything prior to handing over all that money, and you can make an informed decision. So pre-purchase building inspections. We do structural inspections if you think your roof's falling down or you've got some roof leaks on your existing home. We do structural inspections on those. We do there's meth testing. We do asbestos testing. Asbestos registers on commercial buildings. We do all commercial inspections for pre-purchase. We do depreciation schedules is a new thing that we do. So for tax time, if you want to claim everything that you can claim on your rental properties, you must have a depreciation schedule. So we do depreciation schedules. We do safe to rent, rental. When you go into a rental or when you leave a rental, we can do those for real estate agents and so on. Okay. We do pre-auction inspections. Help me out here. New construction.
No, you're doing pretty well.
Different stages.
I've got them all. You're doing pretty well. I think I most of them. So I'll run through the list for you, Andrew. You keep going. You keep going.
Pole inspections, pole fence inspections. Yeah. So the list goes on.
So we obviously have building inspections. We have premium pre-purchase inspection. What's the difference between a premium pre-purchase inspection and just a normal building inspection?
Premium inspection generally involves getting a plumber and electrician involved, and it can be tricky because there's a very short time period from when you sign up on a house to when you're calling office. It's about a 2-day period in SA. It changes around the country, but in SA certainly it's very difficult to align all those trades for a premium. But it would involve a building inspection, a pest inspection, a plumbing inspection, and an electrical inspection all at the same time. But it's all everything. I must stress, everything's just a visual inspection. We're certainly we're not allowed to test PowerPoints. We're not allowed to, we're really not even meant to test safety switches and so on, because that's then what we call an invasive inspection.
Now, this is a great point to bring up because I think a lot of customers don't, even though it's in the report, you guys would obviously make it very clear. They don't understand that you can't be drilling into things and all that sort of stuff. So maybe do you want to just outline that really clearly, just so we have it on video about the difference between the invasive and the non-invasive inspection, which you guys do.
So obviously a pre-purchase building inspection, the client that we're working for does not own that property yet. You've still got the vendor that owns the property. So certainly if we were to find some termite damage, we certainly can't go digging around at that fascia or that architrave or even that stump outside, because we are basically doing damage to that property then. And we certainly cannot do that without written approval from the owner, not the client, not the our client who is the buyer. So yeah, it's purely, we use our tools. We use moisture meters. We might use infrared imaging tools. We might use, as I say, the moisture meters, the cameras and so on, sounding tools and so on and so forth, to basically give us an impression of what might be going on inside that wall. But certainly we can't see through walls. We're not Superman. So that's what it comes down to basically. Yeah, if there is a requirement, we can turn around and go, okay, we recommend an invasive inspection on this job. And then quite often the vendor will say, well, we want to know because we don't want to derail the sale. So they go, okay, let's cut that wall open and have a look. We get approval from the vendor and we go from there. That's an invasive inspection. Okay, so that is something that you guys can do. Okay, awesome. Absolutely. And I was going to say as well, yeah, I've seen some of your equipment before. I think one of the franchisees had the moisture meter and stuff like that, and infrared. Yeah, that's the one. Does the job. It's sort of is your Superman eyes, that one. It does. I'm going to run through the services though, just in case we've missed any. So we had structural, which I think you mentioned. Then we had new construction and handover, which you mentioned. Owner builder inspection, strata report, asbestos clearance certificate, the meth inspection, building inspections, obviously for pool and safety compliance, which is important. Property condition report. What's the property condition report? How's that different to a building inspection? Oh, property condition report might be more of a rental going down a rental path where you just want a general impression of the property condition, and you don't necessarily want a full structural building inspection. Just a general overview of things in walls and that sort of thing for a rental sort of go in, come out sort of scenario, I guess. No worries. And the other ones, you've got asbestos inspection, we've got dilapidation report, which you said, tax depreciation schedule for tax time. And there's other inspection services, and there's mold inspections, which I know mold and the meth stuff hasn't got as much awareness as what it's probably going to have in the future. So that's a really important one. So do you find yourself doing many of those, or who's coming for those ones? Meth is obviously a big problem, and it's an invisible problem. So it is a very tricky, very touchy subject. So yes, there is always more and more demand for that as time goes on. And the mold inspections with the weather events we've had recently, yeah, that's gone through the roof. So, but once again, it can be a bit of a silent killer. So it hides in walls and under floor coverings and all the rest of it. So a very tricky one as well, and something that's ever expanding. Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's something that just needs a bit more awareness around it, because as you said, if you've got kids with asthma or something, breathing conditions and stuff, and they're breathing in mold all day, and I think this Peter was saying, there's a stat like 1 in 3 rental houses or something has had meth residue or something like in that, which is pretty full on. Same with asbestos. 1 in 3 homes, built before 1987, probably more than that, have asbestos in them. So, yeah, there's silent killers everywhere. It's just a matter of knowing, what it is and where it is and how to treat it. The meth is a big problem. It's a very tricky, as I said, subject, because we don't have Australian standards to the safe levels or anything like that. It's a big unknown still. So we're working on, I think they actually work on chemical levels and not even methamphetamine, actual like farm chemicals and that sort of thing. So it's a real unknown. So it's certainly it's a bouncing ball. It's a moving target, that one. It's always ever evolving. And asbestos is something where if you might think there's asbestos, you just do a test and send it off or confirm it, or how do you do the asbestos? And then what's the process then actually for, all right, asbestos is here in regards to removing it? Yeah, so we do a visual inspection for asbestos. Obviously, our experience lets us know, where to find it, the age, the vintage of the product. Is it likely to contain asbestos or not, and the makeup of the product. So we've got a really good knowledge of all of that. So we offer a visual inspection. But if someone does own the property and wants us to take a sample, they're about to renovate a bathroom, and that's a real common one. About to renovate the bathroom, Tyler or the electrician said, "Can you please get this tested first?" We go and take a little fingernail sized piece off to the laboratory. Get it in the laboratory. Within 2 or 3 days, we've got a result, yes or no, to containing asbestos in that product. So, yeah, we offer several different services there with the visual or the laboratory testing, and obviously in commercial commercial properties, every property should have an asbestos register. So, you know, when you get a carpenter in or you get a plumber in and they're going to drill a hole in the wall, they need to know that that's not asbestos, because, you know, that's their livelihood. And you know, it can be a real killer, that can, obviously. And it's got a long gestation period, so you don't know. I think the standard gestation period is 25 to 30 years before you actually know the effects of what you've done 30 years ago. So it's a real, you know, it's going to be a big problem still for another, you know, they say 30 to 50 years at least in Australia.
I was going to say, what's some when should people, they're thinking about buying a property, then get a Jim's building inspector involved? At what stage is it, like when they get the contracts from the agent, or they're thinking about it? When should they start getting you guys involved?
Good question. So it is obviously, there's big time constraints on it. So we like to know as early in the buying process as possible. We're more than happy to field calls if someone rings and they're pretty confident they're going to sign up on a property within a day or two. That's the best time. To give us a day or two's notice prior to them signing, especially if they've just had a verbal offer accepted. Boom, that's the moment when you give us a call. Give us all your details, give us the agent's name and number. You let the agent know that we're going to be contacting them, and then we can get the ball rolling straight away. So that is the best time, just before you get pen to paper, because once you got pen to paper, then the clock's ticking, and it really is, you know, time sensitive then. So that will be if you're building a property. We're more than happy for you to call us at any stage. We give you a bit of advice on, you know, you might say we're building with this mob or that mob, and we might say, yeah, that's good, or they're having a trouble keeping up at the moment, or whatever it might be. But certainly once you sign a building contract, that's a good time to give us a call before they even throw a shovel in the ground. Give us a call. We can sort out a tailored package to suit your needs of what they're building and go from there.
And I was going to say, is there a customer story or some sort of, you know, property that you've gone through, and if they didn't get you, they would have, like, is there any sort of jobs that stand out to you in terms of you saving someone an absolute fortune from identifying things which they might not have been able to do without you guys?
Absolutely. Well, quite often, and it probably happens once a month, we'll go through a property and everything looks Mickey Mouse, and then all of a sudden you find that sometimes it's up to half the property has got termite damage in the walls. And you just can't see it because termites don't come to the face of the wall. They die if they get sunlight, so they just stay internal, and they can pretty much eat everything out of a piece of timber apart from the paint around the timber. So it looks perfect to the eye, but as soon as we tap on it, we know it's there. So in one instance, I think it was a $250,000 repair bill, and insurance doesn't cover termite damage, so that's the big thing. It was a $250,000 repair. That the vendors actually ended up repairing the damage that we found, and the client went ahead with the sale once the repairs were done, and it was a very, very extensive repair, and the sale still went through, but they saved themselves $250,000 from doing the repair themselves.
Hopefully they gave you a tip.
I'm always with my mum.
So, well, dude, Andrew, lots of good information there today. Thank you for giving us the time. You know, I know you're a busy man. On behalf of Jim's Group, we'll get this a core voucher to you as well after this. So it's just 2 complimentary nights to stay at any one of their thousands of hotels, and there's 15% of drinks, 50% of dining, and all that sort of stuff. So there's lots of benefits with it. I think it's like $700, $600 of value. So on behalf of Jim's Group, mate, you're a star. Thank you for your time today as well. And lots of great information. So hopefully people, if they don't think about using your Jim's building inspector, just do it and save yourself a lot of heartache, or potentially a lot of heartache.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Joel. Been good talking to you.
Thanks, Andrew. See you, mate. Ta. Thank you for listening to the episode of the Jim's podcast. If you want to learn more about the Jim's Group, head to jims.net or call us on 131 546 Australia or 0800 454 654 New Zealand. And if you did like the episode as well, please make sure you leave a review or a comment, or a thumbs up or a comment on the video as well. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.